to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for another big GC day of the Vuelta a España after a bit of a different stage yesterday. But we have some news on time and arrangement in a second. But today from Denia all the way to the Jorret de Catí in the Costa Blanca Interior, that goes over to 1,000 meters. To be honest, the Vuelta has been very strange this year in terms of the weather, not just in Barcelona, which everyone's spoken about at length, but probably what's not being spoken about is how friendly these temperatures are in late August or now early September. It's overcast, pretty mild conditions, and so that's, yeah, it's just not the heat wave stuff they're used to. Now, maybe that will happen as they keep going further to the south of Spain and Andalusia. But yeah, a rolling stage, 3,600 meters elevation, and a tough Rampas Inhumanas, 4Ks, 11.5% at the finish. But Benji, you have an update on Aaronsman, who actually posted it this morning on his IG account.
Yes, I'm going to run through the Ineos Grenadiers tweet of this morning as well. Update, Damon Aaronsman was taken by ambulance to hospital accompanied by her team doctor. He underwent trauma protocol assessment with CT scans, thankfully ruling out cranial, spinal, and further major injuries. Damon has had sutures applied to his injuries. What is that? Sutures?
Stitches.
Oh, okay. He's stable now and remains under observation. And then please join us in wishing Damon Aaronsman. So we're joining you in wishing Aaronsman a quick recovery. This is relatively good news, right? Like, it's not sounding like there's any fractures. Yes, you see that he crashed, like he's got facial injuries in some sense, but he could have had facial, like actual fractures in his face. And that's seemingly not the case. And major injuries are not present. So this is better than I expected, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it could have been much worse. High-speed crash in the sprint. And also an update from Jay Vine, who says on his Instagram he's back home. But yeah, he had like a lot of wounds that needed stapling up. So he didn't have the best day yesterday, even after the crash, which, you know, the race goes on and these guys are getting stapled up in hospital. So I hope both of those riders and anyone else that crashed, because there were other abandons, like Samuel Gay's abandoned today. I don't know if that was related to it. A lot of riders crashing and abandoning. Sickness from Gay's, okay. But yeah, hope everyone's all right. Or then even if they're not, they get better soon. Okay, the stage, Benji. I called for a repeat of stage 6, Carnage, with these climbs that they're all familiar with, beautifully well tarmacked, smooth, steady climbs until the final one. But the first ones are sort of beautiful, high speed, 20k per h, like almost 25, I think 30 k's an hour they ride them at. That didn't end up happening. And Jumbo-Visma went the other way, and they sort of, from what PCS said, they were shutting down dangerous breakaway moves. Were you surprised?
Like, it was a full hour of breakaway attempts.
Yeah.
And it was that typical Tour de France breakaway formation phase where everybody tried to be in the breakaway, but Jumbo-Visma said, no. The second that someone big tried to be in the breakaway, we didn't see it in person, so it's hard to say which riders tried to be in the breakaway, but I know Bernal, for example, tried to be in that first hour in the breakaway, so Ineos was more active as well in that sense, which is a good thing. They ended up getting in the breakaway with Castro in the end, which is always the rider that I feel like isn't the rider you want in the breakaway if you want to win the stage. It's a solid satellite rider, but not for the stage itself. But that being said, Jumbo-Visma was controlling the breakaway formation phase, and I feel like it kind of makes it troublesome for Groupama as well. I don't know what Groupama's idea was going into this stage, but I was always of the opinion that if Groupama did not have Lenny Martinez in the breakaway, then he would lose the red jersey to Sepp Kuss. Always. Yeah. I did not see a single scenario unless Lenny Martinez had 1 watt per kilo more than usual. I didn't see that happening today. So the second that Jumbo-Visma tried to control the breakaway, I felt like Lenny's red was gone.
If I was FDJ, I would have said, listen, I know that, you know, un petit billet pour Jumbo, pour la Jumbo, you know, Mario's not here. This is the young squad. This is the different, revitalized, new FDJ. The young bucks speak English too. They get on well. They got like Pithy, who's a really nice guy who's on that team. He seems to really like the other young French guys on the team, and they seem to have a really good vibe. So anyway, I don't know why I went on that tangent. I just mean I really like this. FDJ's Vuelta squad, I really, really like. And their whole young core, in fact. I would have gone to Jumbo and said, hey, how about Lenny goes in the break with Roglic or Vingegaard. We'll go with that. And that way Lenny will get to keep red, gain more time on GC, and we can help you with Millard and Store again. That didn't end up happening, probably because every other team would say absolutely under no circumstances can those guys go on the breakaway.
So based on our take from yesterday, we saw this as an opportunity like Stage 6 as you control everything at this race. Quickstep cannot control your moves. If you do want to put Remco underground, figuratively, then you want to try and attack with your leaders again, be in breakaways, multiple riders, and do it that way. But Jumbo chose the initially defensive way of riding, as in they did not decide to go for the big hit. They decided to go to control the stage and go for the smaller hit, which can't lead to too much time gain, but also can't lead to too much time loss. So it's kind of the low risk, low reward.
It's more defensive. It's you're not going to knock Remco, even if Remco has a wobble.
Yeah.
Well, he lost on a 25-minute climb, 30 seconds after a frenetic stage 2 days ago. Okay, say Remco has another shocker, he might lose 10, 15 seconds. You ain't winning the Vuelta or knocking him out with that or this strategy. But also, I'm also probably a little bit hyper aggressive. I'll be like, just, make break formation crazy and get people up the road. Sometimes it's also just not realistic because you say, okay, we do that, and then Bora and UAE shut Roglic down and Vingegaard down for 20, half an hour or an hour, and then they're cooked by the final. So it made sense what happened. And also, they didn't have to control all day because we haven't run through the whole break.
We have not run through the whole break. It's gigantic.
It's a huge break again, but very different to 2 days ago. Very different. Despite being 30 men deep, the closest man on GC is Christian Rodriguez on 4 minutes. So that's a huge difference to 2 days ago, where there was about 8 riders under 2 minutes. While Pols landed, Buitrago, Kuss, Lenny Martinez, Soler, Steph Kras, just off the top of my head. None of those riders are here. Also, no one of the climbing caliber of those guys. The best climber is Bardet on paper, but he's injured from the crash. The best climber is Caruso. And Caruso got dropped by Kamnon Arensal on 5 days ago. So, and he's way back on GC. So it doesn't have the quality of climbers. It doesn't have the GC threats. It doesn't also have as many tug buddies, like, for example, Fabien Dubé and Osselin for Total Energy. They're not just going to go on the front pull like they did the other day when they had Steph Kras in the breakaway. Jayco as well, like Scottson, he's not just going to pull for Berhe or the other way around. Castro's on his own. Tiberi and Caruso didn't really do that either. Mollema and Elisond also didn't do that. Bora, I was surprised only one rider was Vierhoff. Lotto were the exception to that with De Gent, Kroon, Monike, Van Eetvelt. They really had some names and numbers to play, but it's very different to the other day, much weaker. And FDJ just pinned them, Benji, at 4 minutes. They just pinned them with Millard, and they did a good job for Lenny, and I think that's what Jumbo were counting on.
Exactly, and then you see that switch with Jumbo kicking in as well, and Van Barlo really being the man together with Robert Geesink, who is still kind of an underrated rider. Yeah, he's towards the end of his career, but he's really good at the riding all day and doing the dirty work for teams, making sure a gap stays on the same gap or maybe lowering it a tiny bit towards the final few climbs, and he does that once again today. And while all this is happening behind, the gap goes down to 3:30, but there's action in front as well. Thomas de Gent trying to get away, trying to do some action in the breakaway, but he gets caught by a group that tries to get away from the big breakaway, but everything comes together in the breakaway again, and then we get a proper move in the breakaway. I reckon it was with, if I had to guess, 45, 50k to go, where we see Caruso making a move together with Andreas Kroon, together with Rukashta, who bridges towards it, together with, what's his name?
Lascano,
who also bridges.
Caruso.
There was a fifth rider, but I don't remember. Benji was there for a bit. Don't know if it was him.
Man, it was just Fuga de la Fuga action. And that was the problem, because the last thing you want to do when you have two rouleurs chasing behind you is just start attacking each other. But also, if you're Lascano and Kroon looking at Bardet, you don't want to go to this finish with him or Tiberi or Scottson. So the breakaway was kind of doomed. Like, Jumbo-Visma, as soon as they decided to start chasing, doomed it. I did think, was Romo with them?
No, Roma was already dropped.
Is Romo wearing G's old sunnies? Can someone get a check on that? He's wearing fluoro green or yellow sunglasses, depending on how you look at it. And they look like G's old jawbones or jawbreakers, whatever they're called. So he kind of looks like G riding around. Anyway, but yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
Like the gap of this breakaway, it was Berhe that was the fifth rider in that group, but he got dropped off those four riders, which was still Lascano, Kron, Caruso, and Costa. And the gap went to 3 minutes with 43 kilometers to go. And we started gradually towards the Ferre de Cati final climb, the gap lowering and lowering because Geesink and mainly Van Baal at that point was really pushing. He was really pushing to close that gap. And I reckon it was going down to 2 minutes, going down to 1:30. And then I was like, it's going to be 1 minute by the time we hit the climb, but it was less even.
It was even less because I think Caruso kind of gave up the ghost. He got attacked by Lascano and Costa pretty early on the climb. And you're doing the maths like, okay, it's a short climb, but 3.8K is 11% with, I think, about 1,600 meters at 15%. He's not going to keep a minute on the guys going full gas behind. And Jumbo-Visma aren't just controlling for fun. Like, they're obviously going for the win. Anyway, get to the run into the climb. Breakaway, forget about the breakaway. They tried their best, and it just didn't work out. Jumbo had other ideas, unfortunately, today. It is rare you'll see a 30-man group brought back. So that is... I'd like to see the stats, which of course don't exist, of how often a 30-man breakaway in a Vuelta stage gets brought back on this sort of climb stage. Yeah. But, you know, with a finishing climb that's not the Tourmalet, got brought back. So that's, I think, quite unusual. But anyway, they're gone. And I'm looking at positioning. And man, Almeida, he is so strong. He crashed earlier in the stage. And I'm seeing UAE. Ayuso's easy to spot in the white jersey. I'm like, is that Almeida in front of him? Is it Soler? No, it's Novak. Or who's the one behind Ayuso, just behind Enric Mas? Oh, that's Soler, because I can see his skinny legs. And then I'm like, where is Almeida? Almeida starts the climb like, I don't know, 40th position? Because it's not been that hard. It's been a hard stage before, but not like, it's still a big group. You still need to fight for position. And Quickstep did that a little bit with Remco, bringing him up. It was mainly Jumbo-Visma, frankly, lining it out. There was another team, Bora maybe on the left, Vakyan and Vlasov.
Bora was on one side, Jumbo was in the middle with Tratnik leading it out in front of Walter, who already had Vingegaard in the wheel, and then Kuss and then Roglic. And on one side, it was basically Vervaeke half-wheeling or trying to half-wheel Walter. It was a bit of a squabble there between the two. I don't know what Vervaeke was like. Gesticulating, is that a word?
Yeah.
Ooh, my English is getting better.
Yeah.
He was gesticulating towards Walter. That sounds like a really premium word that I just learned. But anyway, so I somewhat felt like Vervaake's role to keep him up there, to keep Remco up there, was kind of gone after a second because Remco then switched towards the wheel of some Jumbo rider. I think it was Vingegaard's wheel, but I'm not 100% certain. And it basically was Tratnik, Walter, and then we got a shot from behind the group when Walter pulled off. And I was curious, who's pulling now? It was Vervaeke that went back to the front with Catanei on the wheel, with Remco in the wheel, and then the quick step lead out started, right?
Exactly, and that's the thing with GC Kuss, the flag flying, freedom stars, you know, that's one less domestique to set a hard pace. And so, and you can tell the pace came out for just a little bit because Ayuso was like third last wheel. Almeida was virtually last wheel. And Almeida spends this whole climb going around people dropping, like from 25 positions. It's incredible. Like, he must have done the most watts just about of anybody, I think, on the climb today. Most watts per kilo. And Vervaeke was really strong today. Yep. Like, he did a really hard lead out. I think it was before the 15-18% section. Really, really impressive. And you're wondering, okay, first of all, where's Jan Hirt? Like, Hirt is not pulled. Maybe it's not the best climb for him, but he was deeper in the group. And so Vervaeke actually drops Jan Hirt, and he's dropping a lot of people.
Yeah.
What are Jumbo going to do? What's Remco going to do? Because Vervaeke can't pull the whole way, and Jumbo Volta's gone. What's their plan going to be on a climb that doesn't normally suit Kuss?
And when Cataneo pulls off, Remco has this moment where I feel like he does kind of keep going for a tiny bit to see what's happening behind me. A bit of an attack. It was an attack, but it wasn't like an all-out attack. It's kind of like the middle attack where you're like, let's see, can we shake someone off the tree? There were people shaking off the tree. Thomas was in the shadow realm at this point. United Lux was having weakness. Almeida's positioning was dead before the climb, but he was crawling
Lenny
back.
Was sliding.
Lenny was sliding. You're right. Vlasov was off the back. We saw Ayuso having some trouble keeping himself, but he was there. He was there at the back of
He
like
doesn't fool me anymore.
the 5 riders at that point, eh? 3 Jumbo riders. Kuss, Roglic, Vingegaard in the wheel of Remco, and then Mas was also there, and a bit of a gap, and then we've got Ayuso, and then we've got a bit of a gap with Almeidaing behind, and Solering behind. Well, also Almeidaing behind. I don't think Solering is a verb at this point.
I think Soler was looking after.
No, he was going for himself.
Yeah, to be honest, I think that's the right thing. I think Almeida is almost impossible to domestique for on a climb like this. No, he's going to ride his tempo.
Yeah.
Like, you could bring him back, or you try to, and he loses your wheel, and you're like, oh, well, like, I think it's also so steep. Anyway, Vavaka's gone. Remco immediately surges.
Yeah.
And you can tell, and this is why Almeida is really useful, actually, having this race. Almeida tells you exactly when there's a pace change at the front. When the pace is slowed down, he comes back to the group. When someone accelerates even imperceptibly on these gradients in the saddle, he loses touch. And that's what happens. Remco accelerates just a first dig. It wasn't an all-out attack. It was a tester. I think he was trying to see if Vingegaard had weakness, because Vingegaard was not this. I think Roglic was stronger than Vingegaard 2 days ago. And yeah, Remco attacks, stops, and now I'm thinking, what's Remco done here? He's got Vavaka to pace. He's finished. Jan Hirt couldn't do anything. Catania's off. And then he just stops a bit, and GC Kuss attacks.
It's logical, eh? Like, the reason they have 3 riders in that group is for them to attack at this moment, eh? Like, Remco doesn't have the riders to close them down. Mas is the only man that's like actually in the group, because Ayuso's on like 2 meters. So Mas is probably not going to be the one that's going to try and close this. He's going to look at Remco. So the 3 Jumbo riders is basically roll attack modus right now. And Kuss was the one that did it. He got a gap initially, and Remco didn't instantly respond. He let the gap go out to, let's say, 7 seconds. That's a good number. I feel like that was appropriate to the distance that I saw on screen. Then he starts pacing at a tempo where I reckon it was really clever. It was kind of like the Ineos train reacting to a GC rider 7 years ago, but without domestiques.
Yeah, well, it's actually the perfect, like, first of all, Remco has been really, really good on these climbs before in the past. Lights in San Sebastian last year. Les Perez, he put 34 seconds into Ayuso last year, and he destroyed Roglic last year on a steeper climb than this. So Remco is not bad on a 10-minute wall. He's really good when he's in good shape, which 2 days ago he didn't seem to be. But today he clearly was. And so then if he's in good shape, what's the best thing he can do? Can he, if he instantly closes Kuss with an anaerobic burst, he risks being countered. So he basically just, I think, ignored Kuss's existence.
Yeah.
Like, Remco kind of pretended Kuss didn't exist and rode flat out to his max power.
I disagree.
Really? You reckon?
I agree with your theory,
Yeah.
but I reckon he knows Kuss exists and is trying to postpone catching him.
Right.
Because he knows the second that he catches Kuss, that he will likely get attacked left and right. So it was a gradual close from 1.7 kilometers to go on the climb to roughly 800, 750 meters to go. And the second that he catches Kuss, which took a long time, and in the meanwhile, we've had Ayuso and Almeida, just Almeidaing off the back, and Soler, same story, just UAE riders just dropping and coming back every single second. Mas was consistently in that wheel. Roglic and Vingegaard didn't look the strongest here. He was still there. He reacted to everything that needed to be reacted to, but I didn't see someone that could actually attack in Vingegaard on this climb. And it was curious to me that when Kuss got caught, that Roglic didn't go, and to me this seemed like he couldn't.
Exactly, because if Remco's been pacing really slowly and you feel $1 million and you've got 600 meters to go on a punchy climb, like we've seen Roglic, remember that stage 1 of the Vuelta, what year was it, 21, or was it the COVID year, 2020? There was that little kicker right at the end of the climb, and he went into the descent and won the stage ahead of Carapaz and Dan Martin. I think it must have been 2020. Like, if he felt really, really good,
Roglic.
Yeah, Roglic would have attacked. But, and that's why I think you're right. Like, Remco was aware of Kuss, but he wasn't going to blow himself up following Kuss.
Yeah.
And also, Remco was super strong today. I think there was a slight headwind on the climb. Yes.
But it's also to the point where we're at 15% gradients where there's
18%,
negligible.
some of it, yeah.
Draft benefit is negligible at this point.
Yeah.
Is wind negligible on 18%?
I mean, headwind, it does make a little bit of a difference, but on maybe the 9% section, if you're pushing into a headwind, which he kept doing. So it's, on the when Remco closed Kuss, Jumbo weren't really getting an advantage. Because, the guys are in Remco's wheel. Kuss is ahead. But unlike on Havalambre, where it was 7, 8%, or maybe 9% in sections the other day, it's 18%, as you said. Now, that does change when Remco's riding an 8% at the last 500 meters into a headwind. Then you are giving something up. Then you are giving up 5%, 6%, maybe. I don't know exactly. You are giving something up there. So it was the perfect climb for Remco to do what he did. I think Remco did exactly what he needed to do. I think attack is the best form of defense, and also you need the legs to do it. And basically, he just drives all the way to the top. I was really, really surprised the Jumbo Visma riders didn't come over the top of him just before the descent. Not to attack him, but because Remco's admitted he's not as comfortable descending on the wheel. And we have a high-speed, narrow descent coming up. Remco gets to take it first wheel. Perfect for him. And he gets to take all the lines he wanted. And also we saw, I think Almeida got gapped a little bit on the descent. GC Kuss, who got dropped at the end, him and Almeida got gapped a little bit at the end. Ayuso stayed with them. Mas really strong, but Kuss came back on the descent. I think that's something to bear in mind, for, like maybe for that Spandell descent, Benji. If Remco's isolated, don't let him take the descent in front. Or if you have Jonas, if you have two riders, you can let the wheel go and play with him a little bit too.
But once we got over the top, no differences are made between the riders. We have that descent, which was honestly a bit sketchier than I anticipated before we started the descent. That being said, Mas was the one that got in some difficulties, but the other four riders were looking good. And Kuss was one coming back from behind. And then we saw the UAE riders also coming back once it leveled out in the last, let's say, 1 kilometer to 800 meters, roughly. And then we're going to the sprint, and Remco stayed at the front. Now, there is some explanation that I can't spoil yet. I'll spoil that after the stage ends. That would be a viable explanation to why he's doing this. But it is not the smartest thing to lead out from the front and to start your sprint at 250 meters to go.
At least, yeah.
With Roglic and Vingegaard in the wheel, sprinting for a victory on a stage like this, that's not how you win.
No, if you want to win the stage, certainly not. Because also, he doesn't need to be worried about losing time anymore. There's also enough riders in the group that if Jumbo with Kuss try the old reverse lead out, maybe Ayuso jumps on him and you can get a toe in from Ayuso. So, I was surprised that he launched so early. There were some bends and he did make Roglic go the long way around, but it was strange that I thought once he'd finished the descent, he would, with this uphill drag, say, all right, and time for you to take the front. And maybe Roglic would have, because Roglic normally leads out his sprints, actually. But anyway, Remco leads out the sprint. We see in one of the side-on shots with 100 meters to go, Roglic already overlapping his wheel, which means he's coming with a lot more speed. Remco's actually able to get back into his wheel. So he sprinted well, but if you lead out a guy at high speed like that and pull the whole climb, and it's Primoz Roglic, you're not going to win. And so Roglic wins the stage. Evenepoel, a strong second, still beats Ayuso in third. They actually put 2 seconds into Mas and Vingegaard. Vingegaard got gapped in the sprint. Almeida, Kuss, Soler also on 2 seconds. Wout Poels, the surprise in the top 10. He's actually, the
shocking,
ninth from the GC group. I guess he's good on these walls. On 34 seconds, Vlasov loses 39. Landa loses 41. Carthy was quite good, then cracked. He was in the top 5, then probably went over his limit. And Lenny, who was in red, on 110 with Outerbrooks, they lose, a lot of time, actually. Who else? Full cracked. Thomas lost 332.
I need to talk with you about something. Apparently, Remco feels a bit stupid after the stage. He was angry after the stage.
Right.
Because he didn't realize he was riding for the victory. And I just rewatched the final sprint, and he has the most confused look I've ever seen on his face.
How can he not?
Crossing I don't understand it.
How can he not know?
I don't understand it, but he looks visibly confused crossing the line. It's like his reaction of it's the same reaction he had when Vos won the World Championships is on his face as he crosses the line.
But how can he not know?
I don't understand.
I'm looking the breakaway was what? Into the base of the climb, what was the breakaway?
9 seconds?
Yeah, 10 seconds, right? They were finished. And I don't understand.
Because I've sent you the clip so you can check it out in the meanwhile. but I'll send it extra here as well. But if you take a look at like that video, the last like sprint, you visibly see confusion on his face. We saw him angry after the line.
Yeah, no, I saw him angry, and I thought he was angry because he just bungled the sprint. Like, I thought he was pissed off because he thought, I was actually super strong if I didn't lead it out. Yeah, I see now. So this is an extended shot from someone filming, and just right at the end, he puts his hand out like this, saying what? And Roglic is actually giving these ones, actually celebrating for once.
It doesn't happen often.
He's celebrating. So, whose fault is that?
Like,
surely the car told him.
Was there communication? Depends on that. Spanish range when it comes to mobile, maybe there was lack of communication there. But even then, before the climb...
No, the race radio gives you time gaps. Come on.
They should have been aware. If Jumbo can be aware, Quickstep can be aware.
Yeah, I mean, he must have gone past Lezcano. I mean, listen.
Someone in the chat is saying that Remco didn't have an earpiece in the descent, but I don't know if I can check that right now. So
yeah, I mean, fair enough. He should probably, regardless, Benji, he should assume he's sprinting for bonus seconds.
Yeah.
He should assume that maybe 2 guys survived.
Yeah.
I still got to sprint for 3rd. So
unless he thought the 4 guys were up, but
I mean, yeah, there was a break of 4 that was, yeah. I don't want to focus on that too. I mean, that is a shame for him.
But it's too bad, eh?
I think he probably loses the sprint anyway.
Especially from that position.
Yeah, but I think otherwise he rode today perfectly. I think Evenepoel rode defensively using his best skill set, which is riding steady state and not, going over his limit.
And it's good for the race that he wasn't losing time, just like on Javalambre, because otherwise it would have been Mas versus Jumbo riders today, which would have been a bit less entertaining.
Yeah. Well, Ayuso's coming. I don't think this... Yeah.
Ayuso's still there. I'm still believing my pick, my friend.
Yeah, Ayuso gained time. It gained 2 seconds on the other guys and 4 bonus seconds. So I think Ayuso is a serious, the big threat right now. But anyway, not the biggest gaps on GC for the top guys, to be honest. And Soler's still in insane shape. But an entertaining stage. And as Benji said, it's nice that Remco's back in good shape because it's good for the race, frankly. Considering what happened 2 days ago, we don't want... Yeah, it's going to be more exciting having the UAE Trident, which is quietly just doing, very well in the background. Everyone's focusing on the Jumbo Trident, but the UAE Trident is right up there too. And Ayuso and Almeida are going to smash Kuss in the TT, right? So they're also going to gain more time back.
About the TT, Ayuso, I rewatched the TT at Swiss and Romandie. It's difficult to compare that to a Vuelta TT, but the flat portion of the Swiss TT that Ayuso rode, he was torching people. So his TT could be really unexpectedly good. And you told me that a week ago, so credit to you.
Yeah, I think and Almeida went the wrong way in the Vuelta TT last year. He took a wrong turn last year, so he lost more time than he should have. Hopefully he doesn't do that on next Tuesday. But anyway, all to play for. The Vuelta GC is certainly back on. Jumbo Benji, really hard to fault them. They kind of did what they needed to do, but I guess Vingegaard loses 10 seconds. 6 plus 2 is 8. Loses 8 seconds to Remco. But yeah, GC. Oh, we haven't mentioned GC Kuss.
Oh my God.
Revised GC standings. Now I buried the most important thing in the podcast. GC Kuss finally ascends, going into the red jersey where he might stay for the rest of the race. 43 seconds ahead of Soler. I don't know if Soler, will he be able to put 43 seconds into him in the TT? Third is Martinez, who's now on 1 minute, and a gap to Wout Poels is going to top 10 this whole damn race. He's on 2:05.
Anglerud is his turf, eh?
Yeah, you're right. Anglerud is where Wout Poels is just going to randomly top 10 it. Land on 2:29. Then Evenepoel is in 6th on 2:31, 7 seconds ahead of Roglic, 11 seconds ahead of Vingegaard and Mas, and 21 seconds ahead of Ayuso. Almeida's actually got an even further gap. He's on, if I can count, 38 seconds behind Remco, and he's going to lose more on the TT. So, yeah, Almeida, Otterbrook's, man, he lost a lot of time. He falls behind Vlasov today. He's on 4:08, which is 1:30 or so, 1:37 behind the Remco bubble of GC guys. And Thomas is just completely out of GC now. So, Kjan's not out of it, and I think this is not a good stage for him, and I think he should be much, much better on the French Week 2 stages.
It's really curious though, because like if you're Bora, this was a stage where you could play tactically, but Jumbo kind of fucked that over by controlling the stage, so that was really impossible. So
and we don't know if they did try.
Yeah,
they might not have tried. I don't know.
So in the future, I don't think they can get a proper result like a podium or a top 5 even by playing it basic style, as in Ineos tactics.
Especially with Vlasov, like he's just not on the level of these guys. Like, to fight for the podium, they have to do something crazy.
It's almost as if you need stage 20 to become very tactical, where you got a Lopez style
like
group that gets away. Yeah. The way Haig, for example, podium the Vuelta in 2021.
Yeah. Like, was he the top 4 strongest climber in the race? Probably not, but
he made it.
Yeah, Adam Yates forgot how to count, or at least the Ineos car did.
I got a message from Mathieu Heijboer, which is like the performance manager of Jumbo-Visma, and he sent me GC Kuss is alive. It's really nice that a helper can win a stage today.
Dude, Kuss is... I was really surprised Kuss didn't get dropped. And on that point, that reminds me, like, it all worked out well for Remco today, worked out well for Jumbo today. I would say also pretty good for UAE today. I would say all those 3, maybe Remco's angry about the stage, but he'll get over that.
Roglic was angry as well behind the line, I hear, because he had bad information about the last corner or something, and maybe could have stomped Remco even more if he knew that. So,
I mean, he did. He came round at a bad time. He really came round at a wide corner where he lost. Like, he might have thought he could gap Remco, but if Jumbo replay this situation again on the Tourmalet or on what's like the other climb, Eromendi,
I don't know 14, the name of that.
On Lara Belagua.
The raid stage.
Yeah, or on Jose, well, I know I said it in Spanish, Jose. It's a lot more of a problem for Remco closing Kuss on, first of all, a climb that suits him better, a 50-minute climb. Second of all, on 8%, not 18%, on 7%. And so the guys who, first of all, Kuss will go faster and be harder to close. Second of all,
Vingegaard will be better.
Vingegaard should be better on that, maybe. They'll get more of a draft benefit in his wheel. So just something to bear in mind, that whilst the tactics look good today, it might come with a price to pay next week. And we saw that on Sierra Nevada last year. He paced with Roglic and O'Connor in the wheel for a long time in Sierra Nevada. And despite being stronger than Roglic, got dropped and lost a little bit of time at the end.
And simply because draft matters, eh? So the others in your wheel on 8-7%, it matters more than on a 15% climb where it's negligible. So negligible. Jesus Christ.
You're flying with the
big words.
Yeah. Sepulveda keeps KOM by 1 point ahead of Remco, and Lenny stays goes into the white jersey. Well, he'll actually wear it because he was wearing red today. Jumbo-Visma leading teams, and Caden Groves is still leading points. And tomorrow's stage, Benji, it is not the Tourmalet stage. It's a typical sort of Roglic stage from Cartagena to Caravaca de la Cruz. It is 185 Ks. That's a long stage. There's one Category 1 climb, which is pretty generously a Cat 1, 12 Ks, 5%. Then no categorizations, rolling in the middle of the Costa Blanca interior. False flat uphill bonus sprint with 16 Ks to go, 15.5 Ks to go. And then a weird climb. Quite a typical Vuelta climb. I dare say a fake news climb, Benji. If it has, it's got a descent in it.
You said it. Fake news climb.
Like 8.2 Ks, 5.5% average, but it's 3%, 6%, 5%, 5%, 4%, 11%, descent, 9%. And I think Quick-Step should ride for the stage win tomorrow.
Should ride for the stage win tomorrow. I don't think they have the team to ride for the stage win tomorrow. I'll go with that.
Yeah, I reckon.
I reckon they don't have the team to ride for the stage win tomorrow.
Cataneo, Vavaca, Yates, Knox.
Bajoli's gone.
Pedersen. Bajoli is gone.
And also so many people will try and be in the breakaway. Jumbo, I don't see riding for this stage necessarily.
Will they go for the Roglic stage win again?
I think this is a breakaway stage.
I think so. It looks like a Soler, Jesus Herrada type of stage, right?
Even though if you are Remco, this is the kind of finish where you do want to try and sprint against Roglic for the victory, because even if you lose, you gain seconds on Vingegaard and on the rest of the peloton.
Exactly.
So I think there's value in trying to control it. The
Remco's sprint looks so much better than everybody else's except Roglic and Ayuso. Like he's killing Mars and Vingegaard in the sprints usually.
Yes, but I put Ayuso under, and I think partially because of positioning, partially because he's just inconsistent.
Yeah. So that's an option, but it's a long old stage to control for 4 bonus seconds, you know, because the thing is, if they do that and then Remco gets torched in the French Pyrenees next week, everyone will say you lost the Vuelta because you went for the stage on stage 9. So maybe they won't do it. And you're right. It's most likely this screams breakaway Benji. Who do you have? I have Jesus Herrada.
Ooh, you're going to go for Jesus. I haven't seen him all. Well, he's been in one break, I reckon.
He won in Oman on a punchy finish that was sort of like this. I like Herrada.
Bardet looked in pain today.
He didn't look good.
Caruso might be in the breakaway again, but I feel like I want to go for someone else than Caruso.
Very punchy in those Hungary sort of stages.
I don't remember.
You won't pick the cat killer.
I don't want to pick a cat killer, that's for certain. When it comes to Ineos, they will have to try something, but I reckon... Is it short enough, the steep sections for Freile? I reckon he's not good enough.
He's not looked in good shape.
Vuelta. Castro can't win from a breakaway, in my opinion. Bernal can't get into a breakaway, apparently. So then I'm looking at... Butrago maybe once again tries to be in this breakaway. If he is in there, then he might end up doing something. But it's also the kind of stage where the break might be that large that we see a rouleur type guy trying to get away before they get to that climb. And the climbing section that is really steep is not necessarily long enough to kill someone that stays ahead in that sense. So I'm going to go for Leonard Kemna.
Kemna's a good pick for this sort of stage. Certainly Bora will be going for the stage tomorrow. Also,
or Van Eetveld.
Van Eetveld is punchy as well. Also have a saver on Finn Fisher Black.
But
who was in the break
how far is
today.
Scarfy in GC?
He'll be far. He's bled time on a fair few stages.
He was good today.
He was good. I think it's a little bit too punchy. I mean, Higuita, this is the sort of bread and butter for him. He's won Polonia finishes like this. I'd love to see more GC guys getting the break again, like Lenny.
Everybody wants that dude.
No, but Lenny, try getting the break again.
Yeah.
He should try getting the break again and gain more time back. Or Wild Pools would be great in this. Attila Valter, will he get freedom from Jumbo Visma to go on the break?
No.
Probably not. So I'm going to stick with Jesus Herrada, who's made a living out of winning stages like this. He last year he won.
No.
What did he win?
Something.
And I'm just checking.
Some French race? No,
he won the flat sprint against Fred Wright, and then he got beaten in the uphill sprint in Tenturia by Rigo and Quentin Pacher. I think
was very good at Gran Camino though.
Yeah, and he
second behind Vingegaard.
And he before the stage he won last year, he didn't do anything. He was shit. So I wouldn't. I'll stick with Herrada.
Okay, mine is Kemna, so it's gonna be an interesting stage. I reckon it won't be a tactical breakaway stage though. That this one had the potential for, but stage 6 mainly was. But should still be good action. And is that the last stage that I'm here?
It's the last stage. Yeah, you go back to Belgium on Monday. But we're doing the recap tomorrow.
Yeah,
and then it's a rest day on Monday. What are we doing on the rest day? Having a rest, having a siesta, or the TT. Okay. That's all from us. I don't think there's too much, no big transfer news or anything like that, or the UCI doing anything crazy. So, we'll see if there's an uphill sprint tomorrow. Maybe it's a little Rampas fake news climb from the GC group, and we have Remco versus Roglic round 2, this time with the breakaway knowingly caught by everybody. But until the recap tomorrow,